You're listening to One Family, What's God Doing? Where we explore what God's doing in YWAM locations throughout Virginia. We can't wait for you to find out what God's doing today. Welcome back to What's God Doing, and I'm really excited for you to hear from my friend Tori today. Tori and a team of others just got back from serving on outreach in a country that's going through a lot of difficult things. In fact, it's so difficult that people might have thought they were crazy for going, but they were willing to serve God wherever He led them. And as a result, God has been made known in some beautiful ways, not just to others, but to them. So, Tori, what has God been doing this summer through your outreach?
God's been doing a lot, I have to say. We've God opened so many different doors in ways that we've gotten to serve in, whether it be a soup kitchen or a distribution center. But I think the ways that have really impacted my life was the times where we got to just sit down and just pray and ask God, like, what do you want to do today? Where do you want us to go? And how do you want us, just basically, what do you want us to do? It was kind of cool. We were walking around doing some tourism, and we got to meet there was these 4 men, and it was me and 2 other friends, and we just saying, hi, how are you doing? And they were just sharing like the state that they were in and what was going on the inside. But they were honest. They were honest with their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, with where they were currently at. And from that, we got to encourage them. We got to share with them, but it was extremely short. And so we left, and days later we had an intercession time, and we felt like we were supposed to go back and to share with them. Specifically, I saw a picture of just juice, to go get some juice. And what was significant about that is that one of the men was the owner of the juice shop, but they were closed at the time that we heard we were supposed to go. We remembered the hours. We were like, oh, they're not open. They're closed. But at the same time, we also heard we're to go to that area and to declare the word of the Lord and to pray over that particular area. So we went. We went there, and to our surprise, the juice shop was open, and just one of the men remained. And that for us was a huge testimony of okay, we're here, and now you opened a door of opportunity. So there wasn't any other customers there because it was basically extremely dead. And so because of that, we were able to openly share with him the good news of the gospel. Yeah.
And you and a team of folks had positioned yourself to be willing to go wherever God sent you, to do an outreach as part of a DTS. And where God sent you, for many reasons, might not have seemed like the safest or best or most productive place to go. But what you're sharing is that when we go where God leads, He may be doing things that we could never have planned, never have orchestrated. And so how did you all position yourself to be ready and willing to hear God's invitations, particularly in times where it's wow, the place is going to be closed. This doesn't make sense. How did you guys position yourself to be led by the Spirit?
It started with worship, honestly. So we took time. We said we're going to sing a couple songs, and we're going to really, we want to just honor God. We went through what's called some steps of intercession by Joy Dawson, and we took time to worship Him for who He is, clean our hearts before Him, ask it's not my will, but your will be done, God. And just really okay, you know what, even if things don't make sense, like I'm gonna follow the Lord and see where it leads.
Mm-hmm.
And so just realizing some yeah, just simple obedience and
Yeah.
just seeing where God leads you.
Yeah. Well, and what's exciting about that is you mentioned there are many things that you all did, like soup kitchens and other ministry things. And that's where our mind normally goes when it comes to serving God. I have to go to this clear thing, I have to go do this clear project with this clear ministry. But your times of worship and intercession opened up opportunities that weren't on the docket, that weren't something you could have planned. And what that means is if that was available to you all, it's available to anyone that's willing to seek God. And so, how would you encourage someone who's not currently on an outreach? They're just at their home or at their job. How would you encourage them to engage with the Spirit in the same way so that they can experience the kind of beautiful God-led ministry that you did?
I think it starts with the beginning of your day. Like, like to bring it to the home base, it would be like starting off your day with like God, what do you want to do today?
Mm-hmm.
Having that desire to like, I want to do life with you, and I want to do it where it honors you, but also in a way that like I want to be available and make myself available to you. So just like realizing like I'm going to spend my time with God like in the beginning of the day, but it's like an invitation of like God already gave the invitation. Like I invite you to do life with me. And so are we accepting the invitation of saying like, okay, so what do you want my day to look like? And I found that like doing that practically, sometimes you'll find yourself in surprising places that that you just never could have imagined.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I've faithfully done that, but I've had a period of life where I started doing that, and
Yeah.
I could see how I had a list of things to do, and I was just like, oh man, like I don't know how I'm getting all this stuff done. But you know what? I
Mm-hmm.
want to start with you, Jesus. And Lord, may you lead me in the things that I need and prioritize the things that need to be done. And he supernaturally helped me get it all done that day.
Yeah.
Or there was a time when I was like, God, like, what do you want to do today? Where do you want to go? And through that, it led me to meeting a new person
Mm.
and us like finding out she is a believer. But at the time, I was like, okay, like, who is she? Like, and it developed a whole new friendship in our neighborhood of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like, so just really being like making yourself or giving yourself time of like, God, okay, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Like I invite you into every part of my life, but even maybe like even in creating space of like I'm going to invite
Yeah.
you even create space
Yeah.
to do the things that you want me to do today.
Yeah. It's such a simple thing, but also so powerful because, like you said, we can plan out our days, but God knows things that we don't. And when you and I were talking, you said this phrase that really stood out to me, that God had positioned you all for such a time as this. What have you learned about God's timing?
So timing for me and God personally is like it's hard because there's certain times in our life where God says, I want you to wait.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's certain times where God says, okay, now's the time to go.
Yeah.
And what this specific time of going for us as a team, it was, I wouldn't say it's crucial, but it was definitely an act of love to the people.
Mm.
Because when we were there, they would go like, why are you here? Like, what are
Don't you
you
know what's
doing
going
here?
on?
Yeah, we even had some people ask us like, "Oh, you planned this in advance and you didn't know about this happening right now."
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, "No, we planned to be here like 2 months ago." Like we fully aware of like what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were just like, "Whoa, like why?" Like and we were able to share like because one we love the people, we love you, and we want to stand alongside you. And we want to share this hope that we have in Jesus, that no matter like what the circumstances may be, like God's love is still there. Like, we are here for you.
Yeah.
And they would just be like in shock and just like, wow, like, okay.
Yeah.
And so it was just like an act of like, there is a lady, I was listening to her testimony, and she was just sharing how the circumstances of what was happening there had affected her so much that like her relationship with God, it was like it felt broken. And she was just sharing how like she went to a youth camp and she volunteered there just in the kitchen, and she just saw like God move in the youth, and she was super encouraged, and something in her heart like broke, where she was just like praising the Lord, like this generation is rising up to serve the Lord. And then she later connected it of like I felt loved, and like I felt God's love in this. And like then she pointed out like, in you guys like being here, like I feel loved, like there's people who care. They didn't like, people didn't just desert us. And so it was just like, wow, like I kind of like, it was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I was like, I didn't think about the effects that this situation that was going on there like had so much on the people.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, okay, Lord, you're using us even in our times of tourism. Like, you're using us to like to share and convey love, that we're here for you.
It's amazing what can happen when we're willing to let God lead the way rather than us tell God our plans. As we close out, is there a verse that God's been putting on your heart?
Yeah, it's found in Psalms 46. It was with everything that was is 46. I think I'm just gonna read verse 1. It says, God is our refuge and strength, mighty and impenetrable, a very present and well-proved help in trouble. This was something that we got to point others to Jesus in this time of like, he's the hope. He's the one that can save. He's the one that can rescue, and he's the only one that can like just bring the peace. And I'd have to say like, we later, what you'll find out later is we later had to walk this out ourselves, for ourselves. It wasn't just a word we were giving to others. We then later had to take it for ourselves.
Yeah, I love it. It's a cliffhanger for those listening. Next week's episode, you're going to hear some more stories. And I'm just grateful for you sharing these stories, because it does give us another example how God has proven his goodness, how he is present. And so thank you for you and your team for stepping into obedience wherever God led. And thank all of you for journeying with us as we together as one family explore what it means to know God and make him known. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of One Family, What's God Doing? If you'd like to learn more about what God's doing in Virginia, visit us at ywamva.org and join us next week for more stories of God at work.